Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back for another track guide. Obviously today we're going to take a look at the Pickup Cup at Pocono. So the reason why I'm doing this video is because I've noticed the number of people that are on iRacing at a given time is double what it was when I started iRacing just a couple of years ago. Now it's pretty common to see 10, 12, 13,000 people online at a given moment, which is incredible. And with all of those new drivers, I figure there's a lot of people that want to get into ovals or they're curious about it, but maybe street stocks isn't their thing. So they'll gravitate towards Pickup Cup or Carb Cup because it's a great way to dip your toes in oval racing without having to worry about ratings and things like that. Since both of those series are kind of like unranked, so they don't count towards or against any of your stats. It's just for fun. Between the two, I have a ton of fun in Pickup Cup because I find that this old truck drives kind of well like an old stock car. It's pretty physical, it's pretty loose and demanding. It takes a lot of practice with your throttle control in your right foot to really get the most out of it, and I find that so entertaining and so much fun. To sum all of that up, if you're thinking about diving into oval racing for the first time and you're kind of nervous, this guide is for you. Before we get started, I do want to apologize. Please forgive the slight blurriness of the video. It's not you, it's me, I promise. I messed around with some OBS settings and apparently I made them worse when I thought I made them better. So I don't really have time right now to go back through and re-record everything, so hopefully this will be fixed by the next video. Okay, cool. So there we go. All that's out of the way. I feel like I've run my mouth enough, so let's run some laps. Let's go ahead and take a look at the qualifying lap, and then we'll talk about it. And apologies for that being so hard to read, but it does say 58.039 seconds. So now we'll look at the lap again, but more in depth. So the first thing to note is that you'll notice throughout that lap, I don't use as much steering input as you might think. A lot of it is getting the truck balanced so that you can throttle it up and then use your right foot to actually make the truck rotate and complete the corner that way. That does save some wear and tear on your right front tire, which is really important later on in the run. You can drive it surprisingly deep into turn 1. Now we passed the 2 board and you can go all the way down just past the 1 board right here at the start of the trees before you have to let out of the throttle and start braking. Now the brake pressure is pretty light. If you are too aggressive on the brakes, the rear of the truck will come around on you in this end of the track. You just want to use the light brake pressure to kind of scrub off your speed and kind of gently slow the truck down. Now in this bottom lane of the track, we'll talk about this more in a minute, but it's very, very bumpy. You can get it to work on freshly warmed up tires, but not later on in a run. And you have to be very careful with the throttle. As you can see, I'm really dancing with it. Too much throttle in the bottom of the track like this, and one of two things is going to happen. Either the truck is going to surprise you and snap loose and spin out, or you're going to hit one of those bumps at the wrong time when you're throttling up, and the truck's just going to want to go out towards the wall. You do have to get pretty cozy with the wall coming out of this turn 1, and then as you head down to turn 2, It's really hard to see the corner markers because they're stuck in the trees, but we're just passing one right there. And just after you pass that is where I let out of the gas, and you don't use a lot of brake pressure. Once again, just a little bit to get it to rotate, and then you want to throttle back up. You kind of have to throttle up early to make the truck complete its rotation, and it almost, I've used this term before, slingshots itself around the corner to where you can tell I'm not using a ton of steering input other than trying to keep the truck heading the direction that I want it to. I'm not having to use the steering wheel to coerce the truck to continue to turn. So if you get a good run out of 2, you're almost there. So we're coming up into turn 3. I believe that pixel's the 1 board. And we're going to start turning into the track. Now there's a little bit of a hump here where you can kind of feel the truck go down and plant into the corner. That's kind of what you're aiming for. Once again, light on the brakes. You let the truck roll a little bit towards the bottom of the racetrack till you get to this rain gutter. Then you want to throttle it back up. But beware, there are bumps down here, and right here, the truck gets a bit loose. So that's something you got to be aware of. If it starts coming around on you, just try to play with it back out of the throttle a little bit and let it hook back up. And then you can mash the gas again and complete the corner. All the while, your goal here is to just keep the truck rotating. You don't ever want the back end to feel really secure. This lap can be characterized by keeping the rear of the truck loose. That's your main goal. If the rear end of the truck feels really secure, then you're killing that right front tire, and there's a lot of speed on the table you can gain by learning how to handle the truck right on that razor's edge. And now I've got some extra tips, but
once again, as I've told you over and over, this is just between you and me.
Not really. I tell everybody, that's what these videos are for. So down in turn 1, there's some hellacious bumps, and that's really what I want to show here. Get down there too early, and you can see the truck starts bouncing all over the place, and then I kind of lose the front end, and it goes straight. Now this creates a couple of different problems. Number 1, the most noticeable being if somebody's on your outside here, you could drive right up into them. But also, the truck's going to be transitioning from understeer to oversteer really quick down here. And then eventually you lose the front end, so you have to crank the steering wheel more as you get to the throttle, which makes the truck even looser coming out of this turn. So it's real common to spin down into the grass if this happens. Best lanes for turn 1 is definitely like the second lane, maybe the third lane. So the tunnel turn, turn 2, this one's weird. You got to get this line just right. And you can see with the throttle here, you throw the truck in, you need to get back to the throttle to make the truck rotate. There's that word again, rotate. But the importance here, so going through here too wide is really tough. You'll lose a lot of time down the next straightaway. So it's a good idea to maybe single file out, work with the driver with you to try to go through single file through here. But as you throw the truck in, you want to get back to the throttle. If you let it roll too much, the truck washes out towards the wall. So that's why you got to get to the throttle, get the rear unstuck a little bit, and let it kind of pendulum itself around the turn. And it's okay if you're not 100% throttle through that second turn. That way you don't accidentally over-rotate the truck. Now heading down into turn 3, you might notice there's this other strip of kind of darker asphalt. You can actually use this to get a little extra grip if you need it. It's good for maybe getting a run out of turn 3 so you can chase somebody down this long straightaway and then make a pass into turn 1. So this kind of works just like it did at the old, now defunct version of Watkins Glen that we had, where there's these darker patches of like newer asphalt. And they do offer a little bit more grip. So if you're struggling through this corner with maybe keeping the front cooperating or keeping the rear of the truck cooperating, you can use this to your advantage. It's also a little bit less bumpy than that bottom lane next to the rain gutter. So play around with it, see kind of what you like and what you're more comfortable with, and go for it. That's what I find really fun about this track and truck combination, is that there's actually quite a few different ways to get through the corner, and they all work reasonably well. So there we go, everybody. Thanks for being here for another track guide. That's all the tips that Larry Mack and I have for you today. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and consider subscribing if you would like to see more track guides and just racing content in general. I'm kind of exploring a bunch of different things right now, video game wise, so I hope you're here for it. Good luck in your races this week, and let me know how they're going. I'm going to sign off. I'll see you guys in the next video.